Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
Before you lies a beautiful meadow. In that meadow, Progressive Direct has placed its auto insurance rates alongside those of competitors. You select the lowest rate and feel a great sense of calm. A great sense of...
Compare Progressive Direct rates with competitors' rates so you can rest easy. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
This is Healers Helping Healers radio show. Thanks for listening.
Hello, friends. Hello. This is Kira here today. I am the director of and CEO of Holistic Speakers Guild, and I have got an awesome interview today specifically for hypnotists out there, but also for those practitioners that are connecting more with the LGBTQ community as healers. We want to learn how to work with that community even better so that we can be aware of any sensitivities, we can be aware of what things mean. And hypnotist Melvin Marsh is here with us today to help us with that and help us healing professionals work with the LGBT community in an honoring and conscious way to help the world develop with compassion and kindness around sensitive matters that also blend with our day-to-day communities. And Melvin is a practicing hypnotherapist in Augusta, Georgia, with particular interest in medical hypnosis, phobias, and anxiety. While attending medical school, hypnotherapy was suggested to him to deal with his own anxiety problems caused by residual medical phobia. As hypnotherapy started to relieve the symptoms, he realized he could use hypnosis to help his future patients. Eventually, he realized he liked hypnotherapy more than biochemistry and left medical school to pursue studies at HMI College of Hypnotherapy, where he graduated with honors. Melvin's educational background includes BS in anthropology and human biology from Emory University, MS in space studies, focus on aerospace psychology from the University of North Dakota, and has completed many hours of study on, oh Lord, Weeba Shiva, and is a licensed EMT. I'll get it right, Melvin. Don't you worry. When Melvin is not seeing clients, he can be found playing with dogs, watching bad vampire films, me too, and cooking gourmet food. He also is an activist for transgender rights. He is FTM and volunteers at his synagogue. He also is harassing and embarrassing his partner and daughter. He also sometimes can be seen attempting to complete crazy things on his bucket list and fighting off the cries of "Eat me" from the mountain of chocolate in his pantry. Melvin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's great to be here, especially trying to hear you pronounce Web Yeshiva. That was great.
Yes, thank you. Web Yeshiva. I know it forever now. It's going to be stuck in there. I'll be on my deathbed. I'll go Web Yeshiva.
Web Yeshiva.
Web Yeshiva. We'll get it. So okay. I learned a little bit more from this bio, of course, about, and we did tell our audience here what it was that kind of brought you into this. But was there anything that you were like, okay, this is what I'm totally meant to do? How did you know?
How did I know that it was going to probably be hypnotherapy as opposed to staying in medical school?
Yes.
Well, I went into, let's just back up just a little bit as to
Sure.
what that the person with the medical phobia ended up in medical school. I was treated, yeah. Then everyone's like, I don't know how this happened. I'm like, good, neither do I. But I am trans myself. I had a medical phobia from the time I was young. It started off with needles. It grew worse when I became out as trans, especially when I was pregnant. And then, I said, okay, I have to either transition or I'm probably going to die. And unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be, you need to generally, it's preferred to, have somebody else do the surgery on you as opposed to you doing the surgery on yourself. And when I one time looked and saw that, so I was actually at the point of almost that type of desperation to remove the 34 quadruple G breasts that I had, I realized I needed to, first of all, have therapy, and second of all, need to find a surgeon fast. It went and did the surgery did the therapy, and then actually moved as fast as humanly possible through the surgery. And then I decided that, it would probably be for the best, since I'm going to be having to see doctors to get my hormones redone every so often, that I needed to work through the phobia. I did a flooding technique, basically, where you just basically pick yourself up and start throwing yourself into some of the scarier situations. My therapist was not particularly pleased with me at that time because she was not really backing that idea. But I ended up working in an emergency room as a volunteer for 4 hours a week. The being able to distract myself and focusing on the patients allowed me to handle being in the room. On about the third day out in this job, volunteer work, I got a call from a friend of mine who told me that my friend Tracy had just passed away. Tracy had this situation. She had a really bad throat problem. We'd been kind of getting on her for the past several months to see a doctor. She was trans herself, male to female. So she's been gone about 10 years or so, roughly, and at least now. And around week 2, 3, we were like, Tracy, seriously, the sore throat, you need to get checked out. She kept getting turned down for being transsexual. By the time the fourth doctor, she was in the fourth doctor's office, she still hadn't gotten seen, hadn't been looked at yet as far as the throat problem. She did get told it back. The guy was actually nice to her, said, say ah. She said ah, and the doctor said, uh-oh. First of all, I would like to point out to my healers, do not ever say uh-oh, at least not within patient earshot. And it turned out she actually was in stage 4 throat cancer. She died the following week.
Oh, my God.
Because, she lived in Arkansas. I'm not saying people in Arkansas are all closed-minded, because I'm sure there are not. But she was in an area of Arkansas where she was on an HMO, so it's not like she could easily get to a different doctor. But it was just the big situation. It took 9 months, and then she said, okay, well, this is like, I think, a Thursday or something. He's like, okay, first of all, this is the worst case I've ever seen. Again, honesty is great. Don't scare the patient. But we have 2 options. I can get you into chemo Monday. I can rush through this. We can get through. This is, I think, a Thursday at this point. So next Monday would be really fast. And he's like, but I've got this thing, I've got this fear that you're probably not going to survive chemo. So we can get comfortable. Yeah, it was that bad. And he's like, but I would really strongly recommend that when you leave this office, you take tomorrow off because, it's Friday. Start getting your affairs in order. You've got to start just in case. So she took Friday off, started getting her stuff in order. She started chemo on Monday, and we got notified of her passing on Tuesday.
Wow.
So she had just gotten home from the hospital. I think she was around like maybe 2-3 hours, and then she was gone. And so that really got me upset. I think that would get most people upset. And I said, okay, in honor of Tracy, I cannot let this Ms. Shugana continue. I've got to burn through the rest of this phobia and get into medical school. So I did as much as I could, burned through the phobia. I took a whole other post-baccalaureate program, took all the requirements, took the MCAT 3 times, applied 4 times to medical school. I live in the South. That's not a really good place to be trans, and I was mostly focusing in the South, and not that the North wanted me either. I finally get accepted into my top choice school, and I got harassed for being trans starting on day 1, where I got outed in a conservative spot. I then ended up with post-traumatic stress because I got sexually assaulted. I got beaten up, even on the campus. Nobody cared. So when I was, by the time that, oh my God, I think it was like the first time I ever went into therapy, they already knew I was going to have an anxiety issue. They already knew that. This was before the rape and everything else. They're like, you're going to go see this guy, this dude. So I went to a therapist on their campus, a gay guy who also happened to do some hypnotherapy. He suggested that the first day that we met, which, by the way, if you're a hypnotist, you know, I don't necessarily want to know that about you on intake. You know, if I don't know anything about it, I'm not going to know. Now you can tell me you're a hypnotist because I don't care. Because now we can bond over being a hypnotist. But at the time, that there was like, what? No. Eventually, I had to leave medical school on a leave of absence to recover from being sexually assaulted and getting beaten up a few times. I got an internal organ ruptured because of the stress and such. But so when I was on that leave, and near when I was about to go on the leave, I said, okay, can we start this hypnotherapy idea? He's like, by now you're too unstable. I don't want to start anything with you. Fair enough. When I was on my leave, I looked into what on earth hypnotherapy was. I took a course on Groupon. And I was not interested in actually being a hypnotherapist. I just wanted to know what this dude would have done. Took this course on Groupon. Great, that's excellent. Now I'm curious. Apparently, taking a course and you do the history of hypnosis, it took me 5 times to get through the course because I kept falling asleep and I was getting upset with myself. Turned out it was stacked Ericksonian induction. I had no chance getting through that. And it was so deep, I didn't hear the emergence command. I know, it's horrible, but I was so upset with myself. And then by the time I actually got to the end of it, and I had to contort myself to actually listen, get it, and stay awake and stay out of trance, I was so upset. I was like, oh, my God, I must be really, really susceptible. But I was like, this is great. I'm going to go. Maybe there's something to this whole hypnotherapy thing anyway. I start contacting out. I go on Psychology Today, find a hypnotherapist that was not going to trigger me. At least, you know, there wasn't that many people on the list, first of all, because I'm in Augusta, Georgia. And I did this search, and subconsciously I was getting drawn to this one particular guy. You know, great. My subconscious had an opinion. That's lovely. I don't just listen to my subconscious's opinion. So I went through the whole list again, making a note, saying, okay, I'm gonna make a note. Okay, great. This guy's someone I need to come back to. Great. I then read through everybody's descriptions, trying to ignore anything, and my conscious mind picked the same dude. I said, okay, obviously we're both on the same track, so let's send a message to this dude. I also was still somewhat terrified because I'm trying to find any reason to not go see this guy. So it's a mixture between being very, very thrilled and being terrified.
Well, can I pause?
Get there?
Can I pause you real quick?
Right.
Yeah. So when our healers who are listening, because again, this is Healers Helping Healers, when they're listening, I think it's important for us as the healers, as a hypnotist, to really know what we're putting out there when it comes to marketing. Now, I know that you have that deeply intuitive side, but when people are looking, what is a good signifier when we are doing our marketing to help people know that they can be safe with us, barring the normal, energetic side of it. I feel right about this person. I don't feel good about this person. What would you suggest would be good for us to have there?
Well, it of course depends so much on what on your own marketing thing. Like on Psych Today, if you're like LGBT, you can and are a therapist, you can check off one of those options. You can also check off that you're interested in gay issues, for example, or sex issues, whatever. So the client, at least if you're using Psychology Today, does make it very easy. If let's say you're not using Psych Today because there's actually been they've been having to verify more people, and so now it's a little bit harder to get in. But, you know, a small little thing, maybe I'm sure you've heard of safe space training. Where,
I haven't.
You know,
yeah, tell us about it.
You have not. Okay, safe space training. I've officially never gone through this training, but I do know a lot of people who have. Usually you see it a lot on college campuses.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in school, just contact the LGBT group, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. Might be able to get a class started. But the safe space training is primarily for how to at least get a basic awareness of issues that are with the LGBT community. And you get this like sticker or something, and you can put it out, and it can signify to the LGBT community that you have a basic awareness, and that it's okay for you to come and talk about these issues.
Okay.
So, but I'm not sure if they have like a badge you can put on your website. Like I said, I've never gone through the training, but that is an available option.
That's helpful. That's really helpful, I think, for folks, because I know for me it was the rainbow. You know, like when I first started doing stuff, we could put the rainbow out and people would know that was a safe place for them to be. I know many churches do something called open and affirming, and that means that space is available for to worship as being a part of the LGBT community, so that they can come in and be a part of the service, and there won't be any kind of it's a safe place essentially. So I think that's good. So that helps me know a little bit more, and I think that's going to definitely help people too. But I interrupted your story, so go ahead and tell us more.
It's okay. This is a helpful thing to give out.
Yes.
Now, none of the people that were on my 4 things for psych today, that my very short list, actually had any of those markers. They didn't check off that they were gay or lesbian or whatnot. Nothing was there. The bios didn't even say anything. I don't mind being.
Do you think it was helpful? I mean, do you think it would be helpful if they did?
The thing with psych today is you get a fairly small word count.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. Let me double back on it. I mean, if for practitioners, and we're doing just regular marketing, not just psych today, but we're doing other types of marketing, to have that be available and make it clear that we are open to working with everyone in that community.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. If you have a practice website, you can just, originally, I know because you pointed this out on mine, it only mentioned this in my bio. So I took your advice to heart and actually brought it up to the front page as well, in the blurb that I had in the front. And I also already had a tag specifically on my website that where all you have to do is go down, because I had so many things running on the top, and I had a specific thing saying gay and trans issues or LGBT issues.
Great.
However,
That's
exactly
great.
I named that. So mine, I already had it on 2 places. I recently, within the past week, bumped that up to the front page as well. So now it's 3 different places on my website. So, yeah, but it's
that's
not
excellent.
like completely
that helps.
overbearing.
Yeah.
So I don't want to
really
make people also feel uncomfortable being here. Not that I'm not decked out in rainbows right now, although, June is coming. So I guess I can soon, but I don't want to alienate anybody, LGBT or otherwise. So I don't, I don't have rainbows quite everywhere, but certainly I may have it in a few different places on my website that they should be able to see. All they have to do is literally just go over my menu, and they'll say, oh, this person might have something to do with the LGBT community.
Great. Yeah, and it's just really, like I said, really getting that out there, saying, hey, everybody's safe here. You can come here.
Yeah.
Oh, and if it's more of a heavier slant toward it, where it's like, I specifically work with LGBT, I am this, or I am a part of this community, or I am completely comfortable working with that person, then that could be way more prevalent out there too. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure that I got some clarity on that. And see, this interview is so important to me because I feel like as I used to be a hypnotist. I still am, but I don't really work with clients anymore. And so
you never stop being a hypnotist.
Yeah, I know, never. And it's such an interesting thing because when we go from I work with transgender, transsexual, transvestite. I've worked with all different types of people I've worked with 4,000 people in Phoenix. So you get you get a dichotomy of people in Phoenix, right? And so for me personally, it's like I know that there are things that I don't know. And I gave you an example as we were talking a little while ago about, I was welcoming people to the church that's open and affirming. And I asked one of the ladies walking up the path, I was like, "Oh, did you bring your other son with you today?" And she was like, "That's my daughter, Olivia." and it was so, I felt personally, so from the side of it, I guess, I felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed. I felt like I did something wrong. Cool. And that's my mentality. I would hate in that the other side of that where what I am, And so for me, do some thoughts about how to handle. We aren't certain about what gender is or is that we need to have, one, as practitioners, and two, just as people being out in the world.
Well, actually, if you could repeat that question just a bit, we had a little bit of static on the connection.
Mm-hmm.
So
sure.
I heard like every other. I heard the last sentence perfectly clear, the first sentence perfectly clear, and then I lost like every third word.
Okay,
Sorry
great.
about that.
So no. What can we do as practitioners or as people to be aware of the sensitivities that that when we are uncertain about somebody's gender, or we're just making some kind of snap judgment, what do we need to do as practitioners to help us awareness?
Well, some of the things I would do is, of course, never try to make snap judgments ever. Perhaps if you're looking closely at the person, maybe they have a high pitched voice. I have a high pitched voice, for a guy, low pitched for a woman. However, I have a beard. I actually have a very nice beard, which is going to be disappearing in a few days, because my hypnotherapist told me to shave off the beard to do some videos. But the beard should give an indication that I might have a preference. I might have a preference for being a guy. Now, when you're under a certain age, it's like sometimes it's going to be difficult. I had short hair for a time as a girl. My mother would be adamantly saying, "She's a girl, she's a girl." But I also had very male interests. Mm-hmm. I would have been happy if nobody addressed me as anything. I personally would have been okay with being addressed as "Hey, you," rather than being addressed as a female. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's just simple, especially if you're dealing with like older, maybe older kids to adults, to say, what should I call you? Do you have a preferred name that you want me to use? Because sometimes if you're not, because sometimes it can be embarrassing for me for me or anybody else to say, "Hey, you, what's your gender? How do you identify?" Because first of all, that's not really first of all any of my business, and I don't want to embarrass them either. But if somebody tells me that they want to be called, let's say Raven, okay, I happen to know that a guy that was named Raven. I know somebody who wants to name her daughter Raven. So they won't tell me Raven. Okay, let's pretend that's completely gender neutral. I still usually think it's male, but So, okay, well, Raven said this, Raven said that. Okay, instead of using pronouns, try to see if you can maneuver something into saying Raven until you can get a clear identity, a clear idea of how that particular person identifies.
Okay.
You know, that's something very subtle, but it's still something you can do.
Yes, and I think right now, for me personally, and I don't know about my listeners that are listening now or going to be listening later, I want to make sure that maybe some of these really common questions get, you know, out of the way too, because when we go deeper, the basics, you know, I personally need some of the basics, and that's really important to me to learn because I care. I care very, very strongly about the LGBT community, and I really feel, since I have so much ignorance, that it's important to make sure that even though they may be small things, that they are still important. And so that's why I'm so happy that you're here speaking to us about it today. Okay, so what is your burning desire? What is it that gets you up in the morning where you're like, I got to make this happen today?
Honestly, usually the burning desire is to go to the restroom and to get my dog off of me. But, sorry, I couldn't resist. My dog woke me up twice this morning, and I was like, God, dude, it's too early, man. I have to wake up for another 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. My practice starts at 10 in the morning. I run until about midnight Eastern time.
Yes.
So I'm called after hours hypnotherapy for a reason. I don't do mornings. So I wake up and, you know, I get out of the, I look at my thing and I'm like, okay, great. Who am I going to be helping today? Oh, do I have one of my trans people coming in? That's great. How can I make their life just a little bit easier today? You know, one of my vets with PTSD is coming in. Okay, how can I make their experience awesome? How can I start cutting anything left that I need to work on? How do I start cutting my workload down a little bit? And let's see what they brought in to me. What resources do these people need that I maybe did not give them yet? Mm-hmm. You know, do I have something for them?
I love that.
I'm a little bit resource driven. And I want to make sure that they are coming to me with something and I can give them something back. This is an exchange. It really is. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that if an LGBT person is bopping in, come in, it may be that they are not even coming in for hypnosis. That's fine. I don't mind. Just leave me a note, because I sometimes just do general, free, advice and therapy to other members of the community if they just need that.
Yes.
If they come in hypnotherapy to fix their smoking, then they're going to be on my recliner. If they just need somebody to ask some questions to, what's it like to go through top surgery? Do you have any binding advice? It's like not a problem. Just you can shoot me an email or whatever. I just want to make their transition easier than mine was. Mm-hmm. And mine had bumps. Everybody says bumps. Okay, almost everybody says bumps. I know some people who didn't have bumps, but they also were like basically millionaires. So I want to make sure that they have fewer bumps on their path.
Wow, good. Yeah, that's something we definitely need that. So thank you for being that for your clients and for showing up in the way that you do. And just so everybody knows, if you want to learn more about Melvin, you can go out to afterhourshypnotherapy.com. Again, it's afterhourshypnotherapy.com. And let's see. So we talked a little bit about some of the basics, and just from a practitioner standpoint, just a good, decent human being kind of standpoint, right? What kinds of...
I try.
Yes, it's so good. What kind of good tips do you have for practitioners when it comes to working with the LGBT community?
Okay, well, I've got one that's specifically for my people who are doing, hypnosis. I'm not a big fan of age regression, first of all. Okay, so I think everybody needs to be careful of that. But if you are going to be one of those people who are going to do it, you might want to ask the client some questions first. Now, I don't mind if somebody actually did do an age regression on me, and she forgot to ask me some questions. So, including, because I don't think she was expecting to go back that far. And she forgot to ask me, oh, well, what do you see yourself? Can I use she? Should I use he? What name do you want me to address you to? I actually can't. Some of the questions I got asked, I actually got so startled. My trance started to lessen, because I also was still aware of the fact there was a student in the room who also probably didn't know my history. I lightened up enough to do a very brief explanation to the student, and then fell right back into trance. So it might have been best. I love her to death. Might have been best if she asked those questions before the induction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm lucky
so what
I can
would
go
the
back into
question
trance very
be?
quickly.
So the questions would be. What
okay,
they would
so
be.
The question,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, it's helpful to know first of all if you have the possibility that you might end up going back to the source of a trauma, okay, and so you might be doing that type of thing. Anytime you're doing inner child work, it's probably helpful to ask the patient before trance, okay, I know we're doing some inner child work today. Can I ask you a few questions? When you see yourself as a child, what do you see? Do you see a girl? Do you see a boy? What do you want me to call you when we're there? But I'm very adamant. I was a very kind of like ambiguous acting child, so I don't care if you call me female. Call me Mindy, which is what I was born. It was my name as a child, Mindy. I don't mind if you do that, because if you go past a certain age, I'm only going to respond to Mindy. I'm not going to respond to any other name. So it's always good to ask if you know that might be coming. If you simply ask that question. Always find out how did they feel consciously. When they're still very conscious. What do they remember how they felt as a child? Try to use anything that client gives you to when they go down into trance, to use some of that, and that's really a good idea for really any client. But for the LGBT community more specifically, especially for the trans community, you need to find out what you're dealing with, how they saw themselves as a child, because they might have been confused. They might have had a very strong female identity, a strong male identity. They might not have cared. You don't know until you ask. You don't want to. Well, I don't generally like to lighten the trance because I screwed up. If I'm with a hypno junkie, they might not care because they'll go right back in. But some clients are, I don't want to say stubborn, but sometimes they're more of a challenge to go in and will lighten fairly quickly. I don't want them to lighten.
Right.
So.
Right. You want them to, yes. You want it to be the reason they shift out of it to be because of you and the questions you didn't ask. I get you. Okay.
Yeah. And if you're dealing with some of the other issues, it's, I always, like I said, I feel like any type of a new age type thing, I use that term with love, since I still identify a lot with it. You in any type of healing modality that works with that, you might want to know if it might be helpful for the Reiki people to know, oh, this person is trans. Oh, maybe that's going to cause a different issue. Maybe that'll tell me something a little bit different with the energy. Maybe maybe they with another issue. Okay, they're probably going to need some extra healing where their binders are, because binders can be very tight. maybe that's what's causing X, Y, or Z of an issue. If they're binding
what
their
is a
boobs
binder?
down from
Oh,
a
okay,
binder
binders.
is this binder as in binding one's boobs down.
Mm-hmm.
I was a 34 quadruple D. My doctor did not actually believe that some of the tests came back were because I was binding myself down. I had some binders on. He did a breath, to see how my lungs were working, and I wasn't pulling where I should have been. And I said, well, quite frankly, that's because I've got a binder on. I'm not even fully bound. I just happen to know I'm going to be seeing another doctor soon, and or I'm going to have to take stuff off. And he didn't believe me. And I said, okay, well, we can redo this test next time we see each other. And he's like, okay. So he's like, but you have asthma. No, I don't have asthma. I assure you I don't. It would have come up by now. We go. Next time I go in, I'm fully bound because he tells me to fully bind the following time. Hobble back into the office, plop myself down. I tell the nurse that we need to see how my lungs are working. She's like, okay, here you go. Breathe into this. 3 seconds. And yeah, okay, thank you. And she walks out of the room. A few seconds later, I hear footsteps running down into the exam room with the doctor threw open the thing saying, oh my God, what did you do to your lungs? I said, well, you told me to bind fully. But the look on his face is telling me, oh, I may have be hurting myself. But he was also gay, so and was working with the trans community in Atlanta a very long time. And and the shock on his face. I said, why? What are my lungs showing you? He's like, your lung capacity is less than half. I said, yeah, it's because I'm binding. And he didn't know what to make it that up at that point. I said, on a positive note, I'm going to be having surgery really fast. And he's like, okay, next time you come in, don't bind at all. Okay, come in. And I tell the nurse who's getting sick of me at this point, okay, breathe this. Okay. Okay. And a few minutes, eventually he comes in, sits down very calmly. And I point out that I did the test. And he's like, yeah, I saw it. I said, oh, what are my results now? Oh, your lungs are working at 98% capacity. I said, oh, do I have asthma? Shut up, Melvin.
Yeah.
So,
and that's definitely some awarenesses there for sure. So what else? What other tips do you have?
Always try to be very, very open. Make sure you have that feeling that you could be open, even if, you don't actually have the stuff on your, a rainbow here, a rainbow there. Just being kind. So even if this poor person who might not know that you're LGBT supportive, they might be able to just pick that up on your energy. Mm-hmm. Like me, anybody can come up to me. Some people did not know I was LGBT, but they sensed that I was a good person to talk to because they just happened to throw that energy out. And it turns out, hey, yeah, I'm trans too. Yeah, sure. So always give that, always try to give that out, even if, you've never dealt with a trans person before. Mm-hmm. That's okay. If provided you're open enough and that when they actually do get around to coming out, because some will, some won't, and, that when they finally come out, oh, that's great. And just make it, unless you get the feeling they really need to make it a big deal, which they very rarely do, make sure it's downplayed. I say, oh, great. Don't say, oh, I knew it. That's why you're so small. As an FTM, I'm aware of my height. Trust me. But I've had people that said that, and I'm like, I'm 5'3", and I'm I'm not a huge dude. I'm aware of that. Trust me. You don't have to remind me. Just like you probably don't have to remind the males to females that they're tall. Oh, yeah, that explains why you're so tall. That explains your voice. Oh, that does not necessarily always go on well.
Okay.
So think logically. If you don't, this should be very logical. If you were in that person's position, how would you feel before you with X, Y, or Z is said? Would you feel okay? Would you feel bad? If you'd feel okay, maybe that's fine to say. if you would be like, then by God means don't say it. Because it's probably even more sensitive than anybody else. You know, some of my best, my favorite therapists, you know, we usually don't talk about it. But there were a few times that he has made me, you know, kind of go, what are you talking about? Because we hadn't talked about trans stuff for like 9 months because that's not what I was in for. And then he made comments about me being only half done because I've had top surgery, I haven't had a hysterectomy. I want more children. Don't tell my husband that because my husband's upset. But maybe he already knows. But the last thing he wants is another child. I'm aware of the fact I still have a uterus. Trust me. I had a uterine tumor a few months ago. I'm very aware of the fact I have a uterus.
Right.
But I don't consider myself half done or half completed. I consider myself me. I'm content with who I am. It was very important for me to get the 34 quadruple Ds off. You know, I could care less about, you know, the fact that, you know, I cannot easily stand to pee. I've got a device I can do if I have to do that. I don't care. Nobody's in the stall with me anyway, you know. Who cares? Other people might not feel that way. Other people might want the phalloplasty or whatnot. But I don't care. I don't consider myself that.
And the main thing that you're saying, I hear you say, is that we just need to be aware that whatever judgment we might, I think it's just ignorance, isn't it? It just sounds like ignorance. It just sounds like somebody who doesn't know how to understand, and instead of going, help me understand, they're saying, let me judge the situation. Done. Yeah, that's what it means, but it's not true.
Yeah, and some people don't want to ask the situation. They don't want to ask the questions that they need to ask. You know, and some people will make jumps to the conclusion. Some people will think that they're much cooler. You know, you guys are, you know, people are much closer. I guess not cooler, but you know, relationships much closer than than it truly is. I had somebody who I didn't know very well ask me how I liked to have sex.
Okay.
So I did not know this person. We had exchanged only a few sentences prior, and I know what I should have said now, but I didn't know then. But this was about 5-7 years ago. I know what I should have said. I should have said preferably with another person. I did not say that. I said, you know, I'm one of those people. I don't really care. You know, I would just like to have sex with a nice person. You know, we can hash out the details later. And they didn't say how would you like to have sex. They used more terms that the FCC would not approve of. So let's just say that.
And if you ask me, it would be quickly.
Yeah. So here's a news flash. Asking somebody that question, unless you are working on sexual issues, I don't think that is an appropriate question to ask the average person.
Great. That is great. That's great for us to know. I think it's great. I think we're all a little bit curious for the most part, and we don't want to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing just as being humans, but we're curious naturally as humans, and we may not be holding awareness of what we're saying, how we're saying, or having that sensitivity. So you bringing these to our attention is really, I think, very valuable. For me personally, the way I approach it is I just get really real. I just say, I don't understand. I want to learn. Are you willing to help me learn? And it's not that I don't understand why did they do this or what, you know, I don't have judgment about that. I just want to know, I'm interested. You know, I'm just like, this is so interesting. I'm learning. I want to learn. Is that okay?
That would be better. Some people are still going to say no. Just respect that. Some people, I mean, make sure you say, you know, I'm not trying, you know, I just be careful of the phrase. So sometimes when people say something like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm automatically getting that feeling of, oh God, what question is coming?
Oh, yeah.
it's like, I'm not a racist, but, and then you hear that stupid racist thing come out of their mouth.
Yes,
I'm sure you've experienced that.
Oh, yeah.
So, and saying, oh, you're the first trans person I've ever met. That is usually false, by the way. You have probably seen lots of trans people. You just haven't noticed. But you could always say, I don't know that much about transgender stuff. At some point, could you maybe teach me a little bit, so I don't accidentally offend somebody in the future? That's a much better way of asking.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, but B, make sure that they know the ball is in their court.
Okay.
Make sure that that the way that you use your phrases, that you do not have the power. They need the power. You're from an oppressed minority group, and this can be, this could either be, not just trans. It could be, it's a gay guy, which luckily there's more gay and LGB as opposed to the T out there, so more people are aware. But the trans people, we are the redheaded stepchild of the community. There are a few words in there that usually get phrased, but we're on the radio, so I'm not going to say them.
All right. I'm
very aware of my phrases. I'll tell you later what the full phrase is. But I'm sure you can imagine. The redhead. Here you go. Here's a better one. The redheaded illegitimate child, illegitimate child, the LGBT community. There you go. That's a much better term.
Yeah.
So you can figure out what
and
the word is.
That's why this conversation is so incredibly important, because it doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. And we're all just people, and we're all just trying to figure it out. And there's I think the more education we have, the better. And you being open and willing to communicate with us about that is going to help us be better healers, better practitioners, better hypnotists, and will help us to grow and develop as a human species, because we're developing. Yeah. So is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
I think we covered so many good points. And I do know if there are any other questions that might come up. I don't know if you want to put my email in the show notes, or you just want me to say it.
Yeah, please say it, and I'll also put it in the show notes.
Okay, that's fine. You can contact me, After Hours Hypnotherapy, all one word, at gmail.com. Because if there's any questions that people have that I didn't hit, that's great, because I will first of all answer the questions in email format. And I might also even do a YouTube video, because I have a list of YouTube videos I need to upload after showing.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Right, I need to do the recordings, and I was told I have to lose the beard. So I'm a religious Jew, but so I have to keep I can't cut my hair until a certain day because of the counting of the Elmer. So right after,
because you're Jewish,
done,
right? So
I'm an observant Jew.
Okay.
I converted to Judaism as well. I also talk about that a lot too.
Okay.
But Judaism is very interesting. They actually have 6 different genders if you read the Talmud. It's great. I didn't know that before I converted.
Wow,
I didn't know that until like a year after I converted. Mm-hmm. And one of my rabbis that was on my conversion court, that dean, I was terrified of this one guy, and it turned out later that he actually likes cross-dressing.
Right.
So
there you go.
He goes off and he makes a better woman than I ever did. So Rabbi Brad, if you're hearing this, dude, I don't know. I don't even know. That's not fair. But he has that baby face, so it works well.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to know that he was cool before I met these people. But like I said, you could always contact me. Like I said, I'll write up the answer if you have a question, whatever question it could be. It could be on being Jewish and trans. It could be about being trans. It could be asking questions. What's the difference between a transgender person and a transsexual? It could be, it could be almost anything like that, or about hypnotism, or about this, that, the other. It doesn't matter. Just shoot me an email. I will get to it, and I will Also probably record a version, put it up on my channel, my YouTube channel, and then it'll be there for posterity, whatever, posterity.
Posterity,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Hey, I haven't eaten yet today, and it's almost 4 o'clock. So,
you gotta eat.
So, I probably should eat, but my dog kept bouncing on top of me, and last night I had to take Benadryl. So some of my words don't necessarily go with what I'm trying to say.
I know you got it.
Luckily,
you got it completely.
Today.
Yes.
I have no clients today, so I can screw that up.
You can relax. It's Memorial Day. Let's all just relax. So, I think it's such an interesting thing that we all just kind of come together. And when you reached out to me, I was like, this is the best topic, I think. And I've learned so much just by listening to you speak to us today.
You need to thank my hypnotherapist for that, actually.
Oh, yeah?
You need to thank my hypnotherapist for that, because he's like, this is what you're going to be doing. And I could easily say, make me, but I listen to him anyway. He doesn't have to put me into trance to do it. So I'm like, okay, I'll go.
Well, it's such an honor.
That also, it's all your fault.
That right, and that is all that brings us back to another really key point, which is we may know a lot, and we may be practicing for a long time. We may have seen a lot of people, but we need people too. We need coaches too. So even if you're a healer on here now, and you are wanting to get some hypnosis, you'll want to go ahead and contact Melvin at afterhourshypnotherapy.com, or you can go to afterhourshypnotherapy@gmail.com. and hook up with him to see if there are some areas that you would like to get into for yourself. Because like I said, all healers, all coaches, all hypnotists, we all need our coaches. Otherwise, we're not on the leading edge of growth, and we get stuck in what we think we know, and we don't grow. And so this is a great opportunity, and Melvin is amazing. So definitely go and reach out to him. Yes, it's afterhourshypnotherapy.com. Again, afterhourshypnotherapy@gmail.com as well. Is there anything you would like to leave us with today, Melvin?
Just, try to go out. You don't know what everybody else is fighting. Don't try to make too many assumptions. I think that's good policy for pretty much everyone. And go out and try and save the world every day, even just a little bit at a time. Anything can make a difference.
I love that. Just go out and try to save the world a little bit at a time. That's really
if you try to do it all at once, you're gonna burn yourself out. And Rome was not built in a day. What was that thing from when Chicken Soup for the Soul about the guy and the whatever it was that was on the beach? You can't possibly save them all, but it made a difference to this one.
Yeah, the starfish.
Yeah, it was starfish. Yeah. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, all the starfish were up on the beach.
Ago.
Yeah, all the starfish were on the beach, and a guy just kept on throwing the starfish back out into the ocean, and somebody came up to him and said, "What do you think you're doing? You're not going to make a difference." And he was like, "Well, it made a difference to this one." Man, I remember that. Wow, where did that come from? That is a very cool thing. Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I read that book in high school. I am almost 36 years old. I read it once. I didn't read it since. Somehow that story I remember
stuck with you. Yeah, and that's what you're doing. And that's what you're doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what the people who are listening are doing. And we're all just making a small difference. Sometimes we make big differences. Sometimes we make small differences. And that's really important. That is a great thing to pull out. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, so Melvin, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for bringing our awareness and attention to this really important topic. I really appreciate it.
It was certainly a pleasure.
Awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate all. We're going to have shows on here continuing on until into infinitum. We've got interviews coming up, additional interviews that are going to be fantastic from some of the best speakers in the world. So I want you guys to know that I greatly appreciate you. It's HSG is Holistic Speakers Guild, and you can visit us out at holisticspeakersguild.com. I am Kira Schaefer, and I am so grateful that you join us today. Keep learning, keep listening, keep speaking, keep getting your message out there. I love you all. Take care.
This is Healers Helping Healers radio show. Thanks for listening.
Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
You are a mighty fortress of supreme knowledge. Progressive Direct has not only revealed their rates, but those of their competitors. If you were any more in the know, you would be drowning in, the know.
Compare Progressive Direct rates with competitors' rates, because knowledge is power. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
You are a mighty fortress of supreme knowledge. Progressive Direct has not only revealed their rates, but those of their competitors. If you were any more in the know, you would be drowning in, the know.
Compare Progressive Direct rates with competitors' rates, because knowledge is power. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.